This is about the Big Bang and it comes up in P1 Part 2 AQA. So you may be asked about the Big Bang, what is it, and then also pieces of evidence for the Big Bang. So it's called the Big Bang Theory. Now this is because we can't prove it yet. We only have pieces of evidence and ideas that this is what may have happened. It was so long ago we can't actually know, but maybe one day we will prove it as a theory. So what happened was nearly 14 billion years ago, our whole universe was in a hot, dense state. Then we think an explosion happened, or a Big Bang, which is why it's called the Big Bang. And that started, all the matter started to expand ever outward. This is the moment we think that time actually did begin. And tiny particles and radiation, this is really important, were produced. And after 1 second, these particles form neutrons, protons and electrons. Now, I do ask you to go onto YouTube and go and look up, they're called the Bare Naked Ladies and it's called the Big Bang Song. It isn't just from the programme, it was a song that was around a while ago. And if you learn just the first couple of sentences, it will help you. So I'm going to sing it. Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state. Hot, dense state. Then nearly 14 billion years ago, expansion started. Wait. Okay, so that tells you really key points there. So just have that going on in your head and that will help you. So what evidence do we have for it? So I did a video before about redshift. So redshift is a piece of evidence, and now that's because we notice that light from distant galaxies has been shifted into the red part of the spectrum, and the only explanation we have for this is that it's expanding, the universe is expanding, so these galaxies are also expanding, which is actually increasing the wavelength, or appearing to increase the wavelength, just like the Doppler effect. So that's why it's called the redshift. And then we learn about Hubble's law, that the bigger the redshift, the faster the galaxy is moving away. Now, if we observe this all around Earth, all around us, then it must have started at one initial point. So this is why we use it for a piece of evidence for Big Bang, because if everything started at one initial point and then it's expanding ever outward, then that's proof, what we think, a piece of evidence towards it starting at that one point. Another piece of evidence is cosmic microwave background radiation, or CMBR in capitals. You can put that down. Now, we said before radiation was produced, infrared radiation, this heat. So when this Big Bang happened, there was so much explosion, so much heat that was produced there. And we know that infrared is just before microwave, or sorry, not before, just after microwaves on the EM spectrum. It has a shorter wavelength than microwave. So as space and time is expanding, it's increasing the size of the wavelength of that infrared radiation and changing it into microwave. So we use this as a piece of evidence because where else would it come from? And the only reason why it's cosmic, because cosmos, the whole universe, microwave, and the reason why it's background radiation is because we observe it everywhere. It accounts for 10% of our whole background radiation. So, unanswered questions. We don't quite know what is going to happen at the end of the universe. Scientific theories don't explain how or why the universe began. We just don't know. Recent observations suggest that some very strange events at the edge of the universe, due to it not expanding in the way that the Big Bang predicted. So scientists have come up with two theories to try and explain these observations. So, if we have a look here, one theory we think might happen is the Big Crunch. So basically gravity will stop everything expanding, it will start to contract and all come in and everything will be destroyed. And then will it be another Big Bang? And then that makes you think, how many Big Bangs have there been, if that's true? And it just makes your head hurt, so try not to think about it too much. And then the other one is also, the second theory is the Big Chill. So everything then will get so far apart that no sources of light and heat, and all the stars will die, and then everything will just die. So both of them are a little bit depressing, but they're just theories. Now I don't know whether a question would actually come up on these, just because they are just theories and not well-known theories. It's all about your opinion, so but you never know. So here are some exam questions that have come up in the past. The first one says the Big Bang Theory attempts to explain the origin of the universe. What is the universe? Please do not say the creation of the Earth, okay? Don't say that. The universe is all the galaxies, or an innumerable amount of galaxies, basically. And then it says, what are the main ideas of the Big Bang? Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state. Okay, so everything was in this one initial point, and then that caused an explosion, and then everything expanded outward. And then what is thought to be happening to the size of the universe? It's that it's expanding. So that was 4 marks total there. And then the next one says, what does the Big Bang Theory state? In your answer, you may include evidence for the Big Bang Theory. So I'll go through the mark scheme for that one as well. So the question 1 was an innumerable collection of galaxies, or accept any word that means innumerable, or all galaxies, but do not accept everything. And it is definitely not the creation of the Earth, which some people have put before. And then it said, what is thought that the Big Bang is? It's all the matter concentrated at one single point, was in a hot, dense state, and then an explosion happened, and then it is now sending the matter ever outwards. And then what's thought to be happening to the universe was expanding. So the next one said about the Big Bang and including evidence. So any 4 related points. So the universe, as we know it, started about, well, this one says 14,000 million years, but that is 14 billion years. About, it's not exact, but about. Years ago, and that would be a part from one point or singularity, or you could say at the beginning of time, an enormous outpouring of matter and energy, and has been expanding ever since. Evidence that is the galaxies are moving away from one another would that more galaxy is faster and moving away would be redshift. Evidence is microwave background radiation, so we see that. How else? Why do we see it everywhere? Observe it everywhere. Or cosmic microwave radiation, relic or an earlier or hot phase resulting from or after the Big Bang, and light or radiation from distant galaxies or quasars, or due to the Doppler effect. So yeah, as long as you had 4 points there, you get the marks. Next one for 5 marks, and not a 6 marker, a 5 marker. Explain in as much detail as you can the scientific evidence for the Big Bang Theory of the origin of the universe. Okay, so for this one, it was ideas that galaxies show redshift would be 1 mark, but more distant galaxies show bigger redshift would be 2 marks. Galaxies moving away, which means the universe is expanding, but more distant galaxies are moving faster, and so all the universe once was in one place, so it must have been in one place.